Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh. This is a... Oh, wait. British accent, British accent. This is a critical point in my investigation. I'm sniffing the underside of the desk. It smells like mahogany, but it could be oak or elm, perhaps. Perhaps maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. Ah! What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Shh. Shut up. Why'd you lick my finger?
Why'd you put it in my mouth?
I didn't put it in your mouth. I was shushing you. I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Ah, yes. Everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself doing something. I skipped it by accident. In a most troubling predicament. He's fucking soft reading us. Oh, well, that's true. Cold reading. Sorry, that's the phrase. He's coldly reading us. Well, that's true, at least. But how? Elementary. How the deuce do I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction. Hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your own native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now to travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And, when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin had discovered your identity, you ended his life, too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes.
Except everything.
Not gonna lie, they did this bit better in Paper Mario 1 and 2, where they have a penguin who's supposed to be Sherlock Holmes, and he does this exact same shit, where he just accuses anybody and everybody. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, aren't you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution, too. It's shameful. It's shameful behavior, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, dude. Hey! Fuck! Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. Even by Ace Attorney standards. Which is a pretty high bar to clear. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. I'm not... Wait, are Russian people considered white? They're Asian, but... They're
Russian.
They're Russian.
We don't ask. They're Russian.
Yeah, I don't, That's an interesting, like, conundrum. I mean, it is interesting because, like, before, like, there was a certain point in history where Asians weren't considered a minority. They were just considered white. And then, I forget what happened exactly. Then America was like, yeah, actually, you're minorities. And they were like, what? Oh. And there goes all their rights. That poof. And it just, oh. What kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but that was not the right. But was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you did find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yeah, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, the ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis for all of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. Ha. I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of all the century, known to men and women the world over. The imitable Sherlock Sholmes. This motherfucker is the exact same reason this game took 6 years to reach the West. Because, no, this character, according to the original game and the developers of the original Japanese version, is not called Sherlock Sholmes. According to the original script, and according to the developers themselves, this is none other than the actual Sherlock Holmes. Because Japan is not as familiar with such wild Western concepts as copyright claims. Copyright named things. So obviously in the Japanese version, he's just called Sherlock Holmes. But then when trying to translate for the West, the actual owners of Sherlock Holmes were like, the fuck? You can't call him that. And then they were just kind of stuck in this, like, legal debate for, like, literally 6 years. And then finally, this year, we got the game. All they did was switch the first letters of his names around. That's all they did to fix that huge localization problem. So, it's really you, the actual Sherlock Sholmes. The very same, the imitable actual Sherlock Sholmes. Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruto-san. Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Alright, great detective. What do you gotta say? So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Hairlock, was it? No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rand's magazine. Full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yeah, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I am not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson?
They didn't change his name?
It's Watson.
Oh, Watson.
Watson, yeah. I have a feeling, because it's Ace Attorney, that he probably was called Wilson. Like, that seems like something they would have had from the very beginning. I do remember about Sherlock Holmes, though, very specifically. That's the whole reason this game never got localized. Why, at this very moment, I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of the muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. and a trained logician. What? Logician? Makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth! As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can you look at me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow! Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. 'Twas I that fucked the dragon. I mean, none other than the great detective who you see now. Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I butted inside, and I concealed among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And the handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruto. Ah! The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? Two facts, you say? What were you investigating over there? Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma. Ah yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaging in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic, and something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. I said you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy. A smattering? A smattering, sayonara, bonsai, mikaido. Nando. I trust you're suitably impressed. I actually only know half of those. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Ah-ha-ha-ha-ha! Ah-ha-ha-ha-ha! So what was all that showing off before, then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Somebody popped a snake through?
That's probably how
Mr. Sholmes, please tell us. What two facts were apparent to you when you came to this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yeah, I understand. But what were they? I want to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1. The cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprits out of the question, unless they were Snake, in which case. Number 2. The victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Shom. What makes you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. Kristen?
Yeah. What?
No, I mean, like, can you say it out loud?
No.
No?
I can read it, I can't pronounce it.
That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In the final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Godrobe maybe the name of the killer. A certain Robert God, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there, at least. Where you found Mr. Naruto sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you. The renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian, too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Are school uniforms the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Here, I'll give you a copy. But Kazuma was left-handed. Yes, that's actually a twist that they've done in the Ace Attorney games before. I'm not fucking kidding.
He was left-handed?
Yeah, the victim left a dying message with their right finger. But wait, they were actually left-handed. Why would they write a message? It's the first case in the second game. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're recycling a lot. It's still a pretty unique game so far, but yeah. Maybe it's the same twist, maybe it's not. I don't know. Yes, Kazuma had already taken away when I spoke up. Wait, we can actually prove this because he draws his sword at the end of the first case. I don't even remember which hand he draws it with. Because he was... No, he would be right-handed. Yeah, because it was on his right side. It was away from the camera.
Because when you ever look at the camera, he has it right here.
Yeah. No, he would be right-handed then. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. The first time I've seen him dead. Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? Why are you calling me Mr. Naruto now? Did the English man wear a rub off on you? That's gross. He should keep that in his pants. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that? Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? What? It's another Russian word. What's that say?
Of course.
Of course? Okay. I mean, that makes sense for the context. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Of course, certainly, if that interests you. Yeah, that makes sense for the context. I'm actually really excited. I don't really get to see you use that all that much, and I'm happy that you remember that.
It comes and goes. Like, if we go further on,
Like, the fact that you recognize wardrobe, that's such an uncommon word. It's better than I could do, I'll be honest. With the languages I've learned. How many times? I'm not Russian. I don't speak Russian. Can we talk about your deductions before? The things you've concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, "Yep, that's me. Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. His name is Villain. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian?" It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded that he was Russian because of what Kazuma wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, Villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Sorry. Keep fucking hiccuping. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetuated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article, Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it, anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take a paper for yourself. A little memento of the great deduction. Oh, thanks. I've absorbed all of that is of interest to me within its pages. But I see no rubbish bin nearby. Oh, cool. I am the rubbish bin. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Wait, no, let me glance at it. So I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Alright.